My name is Adriana Elmore, and my case study presentation is on John Albert Taylor, and this pertains to rape/sexual assault. Some background and contextual information would be that he was abused in his adolescent years and did drugs. According to him, he started to become involved with drugs by his teen years. At 13 years old, he started raping his sister, and he did stab his stepfather at the same age as well. He was the first person in 19 years to die by the firing squad. He actually chose this because he said, in quote, it would be too embarrassing to flip around like a fish out of water if given the injection. And from my CNN article, I pulled a quote: "The death penalty is nothing more than sending a defective product back to the manufacturer. Let him fix it." This came from one of the firing squad participants. In the book, rape is defined as an act of forced intercourse by a man with a woman other than the attacker's wife without her consent. Marriage vows grant implicit permanent right to sexual access, and that spouses cannot testify against each other. Three kinds of rape events would be stranger rape, which is when the victim has little to no contact with the rapist. Predatory rape is when a man is using deception or force and intends and plans to rape his victim by pretending to want to date, better known as dating behavior. Date rape is a serious dating situation that turned for the worse. This would involve force to have sex with a woman who is not willing to have sex. Most cases have a drug used called Rohypnol. And then two of the causes of rapists would be sociological factors. Researchers view rapists as suffering from mental illnesses and or personality disorders. They also argue that most feel deficient in their masculinity. Sociocultural factors would be that the researchers say that the men are maladjusted and that they grew up where the norm was aggression. Research on rape. Charlotte Nicole King had been sexually assaulted. A telephone cord was wrapped around her neck. 3 times, her mother told authorities. In this, her mother actually did come home to find her daughter dead with her underwear stuffed in her mouth. Taylor said that he chose the firing squad because it would be costly and embarrassing to the state, and because he feared flipping around like a fish out of water if given the injection. So he actually ended up having a choice between the injection and the firing squad. But he knew that the firing squad wasn't well used, so he kind of chose that as a lather to the injection. According to Taylor, he was raised in Florida where he was abused as a child and became involved in drugs by his teens. A few contributions to understanding rape would be John's childhood helps us connect to his sociological and sociocultural factors. Because he was abused as a child, it links back into how researchers say that rapists are usually brought up in aggressive households. His case falls under the definition of rape. Again, this definition is an act of forced intercourse by a man with a woman other than the attacker's wife without her consent. The kind of rape committed was stranger. This was only stranger for Charla's case. I will say that, in my opinion, stranger rape and predatory rape, I think that there is a little bit of an in-between there for him raping his sister. And lastly, because of the crime he committed, he lost his life, which brings us back to that full circle as to why people do what they do and what happens to them. A few challenges for understanding rape would be rape can happen in relationships and marriages. In the book, they strongly imply that rape only happens in beginning stages of relationships and to strangers. But they say that when you get married, that vow is your vow for anything to happen. So you can't say that your spouse raped you in this case. Victims often do not speak up, or their rapist gets let go. This is another challenge because a lot of the times rapists, they threaten their victims, and in doing so, they're free, they might go and rape more people, and the victim never gets that victory of standing up for themselves. And lastly, the book only talks on behalf of women. I do think that rape happens in both genders, and I do believe that it should be informative of both sides. And lastly, I have my reference page. Thank you.